you for joining me on Table of Women, which is being aired on Nox TV Africa. My name is Miss Rose, and I'm seated today with Elizabeth Dwomoh. And the Table of Women Jumedi is so special because it happens to be said the first black girl winning pageant or Belgium, and a man no show no so. Mem pesa obe sorry everywhere video do so nti obe like e obe like video now was subscribe to Nox TV Africa now was share so obe send this so ma wadofo o family send e be your muso so betimi enjoy program bi. Hello Elizabeth.
Hello.
Hey, why from me from Miss Anata me from there.
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth, okay. And what about show you so dear say you miss Nana obedi no ha ma ya na.
Oh, there be.
Onya no sa wa ha ma. First and foremost, Miss Exclusive the Doba, like showbiz Nemo. How did it start? How did everything happen?
Miss
Yeah,
Exclusive.
we from her.
Yeah, we were England.
Yeah, we England. Okay, now then I'll be now Miss Exclusive for Belgium.
Because me mama 2 years no me kotsna me nana ho Ghana.
Okay.
But at that time no, during the period nana me woman nana ho me mama 2 years e betna Belgium because I seen nana me papa te.
Okay.
Until be 2 years no until no all be family no me ba Belgium instead se me call UK.
Oh, okay. Now then I want to go be as a Belgium now yes so besaba.
Say me mama ne buy until no baby I will for one also.
That's right.
Okay.
Okay.
Until no mobile family no. That was the intention of, you know, we have our buying chain. So
Okay.
that's why I came to Belgium.
Okay. Now if I Ghana now free.
If we Kumasi.
Kumasi hefa.
It's the same.
Like Kumasi Brono Bay now free so
Not
which part
interest
of
so.
not interest so okay.
Not interest so, yeah.
Okay. And our siblings what you say?
Yeah, 5 in total.
Okay. And I what also say?
Me also 3.
What also 3?
Yeah.
Okay. Tiam first what about Belgium? Oba Belgium saying na I had this university. Oba now how many years?
Me buy na me D7.
7 years.
Yeah,
Oh Belgium.
7, yeah.
Nti oba na now starting school and I say, "Oh yeah, then."
Me buy me started school, normal school, so no language school, just normal school. But at my 7, me D7,
Okay.
me say free Belgium, and I'm go back to the UK.
Yeah,
Until me
okay.
Belgium, me see like the basics of learning the language.
Okay.
By the time I'm like me aka say mete kasa no, emu na me di free hakoy.
Okay. And if we Ghana at the age of 7, when you opportunity now you're bad girl for Ghana. And auntie Accra ne me yemi who fi me me down for ko di agro nkro Ghana no.
Oh,
you didn't get the opportunity to.
me
Ubobi. Now nimbo. Emu de na obo pa.
Me na me pe clay any who ye no aduane wo kropot ketwa so na me sa pechini.
Ya wo de be.
Kwesiara Sunday.
Akosu ya chini. Okay. Now we pechini. Inti
Na pechini but na agro so wo mani so nti da bia ye ka drew time say bedi dia na obi ate wo na Lizzie way. Nti da bia na wo se hwehwe baby am check kwa but
okay.
I was never far. Da bia am say mekwa ko china na my neighbors for no area like the area kids. You know, they were never worried as much because no one say I will like if fear because me and I one big family.
Okay. See, chini ni wa na odi free Ghana call UK.
No, about Belgium.
About Belgium. Now free Belgium, so I call back to UK.
Yeah.
And now see for UK, it's about Belgium.
Yeah.
Now we call UK no that age 7, right?
I was 10.
10. Now to wine chain with UK.
Na me te me until.
Oh, auntie. Okay. Now you're there.
Let me go school, normal high school. Well, first secondary school, then I went to high school.
Oh, okay. And see, at the age of saying out about back free UK, about Belgium.
I was 15.
15. See, about Belgium, no, what best year wa for right?
No, me say me nkwana mete.
There be free UK about Belgium.
Yeah.
Now, now with parents in China, right?
Yeah.
Into Uba Belgium that time at the age of 15, then and now we here now go school and I said now we.
Me started echo school. I was the same area, baby. I made parents, you know.
Okay.
I was 15 and I started like high school. I think they put me in the second year, into the second year of high school.
Okay.
But England and Ali, the way in school here or anyhow is very different. You know, my bahan it was like starting everything again because I feel like I'm a bit and usunya be before from in high school they expect you to have already a lot of knowledge.
Okay.
So it was all new again for me. You know, the fact that I had time na me 7 it didn't really matter. Even though I think say I already understood more than ABS and coming free Ghana and I'm the best at high school. I think there would have been a very big gap in being able to catch on.
Mami, this is a question we Oba Belgium now. What kind of challenges now face here? Oba for no.
The challenges I would say was really, really difficult because my life in the UK was very different compared to Belgium. I had loads of friends, as I said, Nampichini, and in the UK was the same thing. Like where I live, South Croydon, my school was like right next to my auntie's shop, and when I finished school, I would hang around, or they'd come to the shop and I was very busy.
Okay.
But when I came here, it's like I haven't really got friends. I don't really speak the language. And, for me, the reintegration into the whole setting was very hard.
Okay.
I lived with my auntie. I feed him, living with my parents. I have a brother. I have brothers. Then there was 2, and it was just difficult. It was difficult because I felt like they don't understand me due to the things that I've been through in the UK. And then school, it's very frustrating if you have to start everything from zero.
Yes.
And that was the challenge that I experienced the most, having to start all over again.
All your 15 years of studying.
Yeah, and not only that, me did 3, me call Ghana, me free Ghana, no me did 7, me buy Belgium, me did 7 to 10, and then all of a sudden 10 to 15, and then I'm back, and it's like I have to start again. For me, it's the fact that I had to do everything again. It was too much.
Okay.
So I was very frustrated, very frustrated.
But do you think language and also counting now, you have to start everything again at that age?
Definitely. It's more the language than anything else.
Okay.
Because if you don't speak the language, your performance at school will not be as good as it could be. And those were the challenges that I was faced with. Because already, they wanted to, how would I say it? They wanted to put me in a class where I felt like I didn't belong. But due to language barrier, that's where they believed I had to be. So I always had to prove myself, you know. I always had to work a little bit harder than the average student in my class that was raised with the whole curriculum of being in that school. So that was one of the challenges. And then coming home, Ghanaian parents, not all of them speak the language. You actually have to be your own teacher.
I know, right?
So you go to school and you're thinking the whole time I'm here, I'm actually here to write everything down. So when I go home, I can, check my notes. But the notes now are Toronto. Do you understand? So you have to force yourself in a certain way to understand. And I feel like those were the challenges that made me feel like I don't belong here. I need to go back.
So would you advise someone who is in the UK to come and stay in Belgium?
If you haven't got your job already, don't.
I don't get it.
Like, if you're not working and you're coming here because, you want to go to school, but if the studies is not in English, don't bother. And I'm not trying to discourage, because when you come, you're not going to study. You're going to study the language first before you actually go and study what you came for. So if the subjects you're coming to follow, it's not in English, it's really, really frustrating. But I was lucky because I was 15. It was kind of easy. And the fact that I've always had to switch, learning languages is like pretty okay. Except French.
So at which age may call for Miss Exclusive? Because Miss Exclusive no money near the who say, hey, Ghana we need Miss Exclusive, and you happen to be the first black girl we need kind of pageant visa, right?
I was,
At
yeah,
what age?
I was 19.
19.
I was 19.
And it was in 2015.
15. Well, the pageant started in 2014 and
Okay.
I was crowned in 2015.
Okay. So what motivated you to go in for that crown?
The fact that I felt like I needed to know and see more. Like, I've always been very inquisitive.
Inquisitive me the waka obi ochini ni oye inquisitive.
I always want to see. I want to be, and not even like I need to be places. I just want to be able to see. Okay, I've seen this before, or
Okay.
I've seen that before.
Okay.
And me buy, you know. And this is, it feels like I'm attacking Ghanaian parents, but I would say my parents.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't say Ghanaian parents.
Okay.
My parents, they are very comfortable in, you know, oh, yet to make claim, you know. But me being Elizabeth, yeah, yet to make claim, but me and baby for, you know, they wouldn't.
Okay.
Yeah, but baby, oh yeah, go England, oh yeah, go Ghana. It's
Eh,
like the
Hong
you know, oh, we even went to Holland one time. That was like, that was for me, you know, a very
Okay.
big trip when I was young. But I wanted to see things. I wanted to make friends, and
Okay.
I knew the best way of kind of breaking out my shell was to do something that I felt very uncomfortable with, but at the same time I felt very, very comfortable with. It's
That
weird.
time, no, not Mechlin, no, not girls in Iwana, not
Oh,
in
there was girls, but I knew like a couple of friends from when I was here before, so when I was younger.
Okay.
And those were the people that I would hang around with, and I said my classmates, but my classmates were all people that knew each other from, you
Okay.
know, from young and everything.
Okay.
So I did have friends, but I had very few.
Okay.
And it's not only the friends part, but I wanted to network. You know, me call baby, so participating in the pageant, it was just to broaden my, you know, widen my horizon. I just wanted to see Belgium, and doing so, I was able to visit a lot of places and see a lot of places that I would normally I don't think I would have ever been invited to go there if I didn't. So that was more my aim to, you know, doing it. It's not like I was doing it because I felt like I need to win this to become, you know, the next, I'm just saying, Tyra Banks or something.
Oh, okay. And how was the competition like?
The competition...
Because I learned you were 2 Ghanaian girls, right?
Yes, there was 2 Ghanaians, 1 Nigerian, well, half Nigerian.
Okay.
And we were, I think, the only other ethnic, you know, girls.
How many ladies were you in all?
Oh, we started with 30.
30.
But at the end, we ended up, a lot of girls stopped during the whole process. And I think we ended up with like 19 or even less.
Okay.
So we started with a lot, but then gradually people were stopping, and that became a whole business on its own. You know, people that were stopping were getting threats from the organization, and they were, you know, jumping to the how do you call it, to the news people.
Okay.
You know, so eventually we ended up with a very small amount of participants. I think 19. I'm not sure anymore.
19. Okay. So what was the relationship between you and that Ghanaian girl? Because I knew if I said Ghana for girls, I share with baby, and sorry to say it was a competition. It's you in term no na uyemun shishewa na say how was this? Because I say hey, me uncle Ghana ni ka ho. Now don't wash a na so na then wash a shell. How was it like? And o skin color no was it not even a problem for you girls? Because abrofu way you could on your more yeah you be racism near the other. How was it?
You know, coming to the first part of your question, the relationship with the other contestant.
Yes.
We knew each other already before we participated.
Okay.
Because we even went to the same high school. We live in the same area, and we did have history. Before the pageant, we weren't friends.
Okay.
During the pageant, our relationship actually became pretty okay because, you know, they'd be out. We used to take trains together. We would, you know, link up at the same time so we can travel together. So before the pageant, our relationship wasn't good, and during the pageant, it actually became better. As for how do you say it? You said as a competition,
Like
it was
skin color, no.
Skin, as for skin color, we knew said there was 3 black. Even the Nigerian girl, she's half, but we considered her as black because her hair texture and our hair texture was a little different. So she was more of us, even though sometimes we felt like, okay, well, that's okay. But as for skin color, we did experience moments where we felt like, yeah, like I would say me and the other girl. Oh yeah, but chini keke. We're just here for the experience, you know. Okay. And it's not even the chini part; it's more for the experience. Wanted to know and see and network.
Okay.
Never in a million years did I think that I would win, because Namisha, the way and even the other girl, the way she would perform, I thought, yeah. So even some choose one of the black girls out. You know, just because I felt like if I see how the other girls are performing, and not only performing as in the shows as a contestants, but the general sponsoring and everything, I just felt like the way I'm sweating and crying to my parents, and you know, everybody that was willing to listen, I was literally, you know, screaming at. But at the end, it turned out differently. Okay. And it was both of us. As I said, Yemi and we would speak in tree like, hey, you know, and in a way, I thought there was this one particular person that was going to win, and she was like my favorite. And not only that, because she was tall, and I knew when you win, you have to go to international pageants. So technically, they would play it safe and choose somebody that has the model figure and the model height. Okay. And I know it's a pageant. We all know they work with certain criteria and technical things. So I was like, you know, when I look at the international models, they're thin and they're this and they're tall. And me and the other girl, we were one of the shortest people. Like, you know, Ghana for we're not known for our heights. You know, I do have 2 brothers that are really tall, but my sister and I were midgets at home. So I was like, yeah, she's probably gonna win. She's like 1.90 or something, you know. Like, but at the end, it turned out differently. So.
Okay, thank you. And if you are watching this program, it's still Table of Women, and we are seated today with Elizabeth Dwomoh. She happens to be the first black girl who won Miss Exclusive in Belgium. We're going for a commercial break. When we come back, it's still Table of Women. Thank you for still watching us on Table of Women, which is being aired on Nox TV Africa. My name is Elizabeth Negusu Ayechoche Nkomoye. Elizabeth, now what we are showing you that we are pageants name. How was it like? No, because in unya sponsors be almost so was say and I say how was it, because you name say pageants there take iska bebre or support unya from Hefa.
The pageants no make us in the beginning, apply. Yeah. They tell you, say, okay, I also this sponsorship, say, every week, I also ton and yama, but in the beginning, no can't show exactly. Okay. Yes, that's it, you know. It was like, oh yeah, sponsorship is a total of this amount. Yeah. How you find it, you know, they depend on yourself. And this this big company that's willing to sponsor, the whole amount in one time. Okay. So be creative, you know, because you share different people. I was able to find a couple of sponsors, which I still work for at the moment, 6 years later. But as for the things that we had to sell, toffee and okay. But toffee no. I think some the chini
Belgium,
Belgium, Agrobia, You know, back then now, grow, you know, yeah, grow programs.
Yeah.
See, no, come because I mean, sort of, things in Kebabo so. But then, no, a lot of agro nameko, mijina, no, obi rembia, oh, at one point, no, it's like, oh, dampa, line and oh, can, no, trim still. Sometimes I think send me uncles in the UK me send me boxes. I think so a box, but box in the car.
I thought no one you say now we in and I said now we in a box.
They had one box was 50 bags.
Okay.
But at the end, you know, now we turn 50. I think so every week be in 5 boxes or 5 or 6. I can't even remember.
Okay.
But it called pageant or how would I say it, like the ending of the pageant, you know. Now 5 boxes, no, my times 2 because the girl be no. Yeah, can in the beginning it was fun because you started in an area na bo nti summer no you tamped off it obi afa one box to go bag ma near call Brugge and I say call stand the beach side no beach side in na you kukura and it's like she don't know mama no from me because you kwa when say o call one particular place because girls are exclusive for no in the beginning it was fun ka say 5 boxes for the whole summer. I think san kiyenyi na kiyeton man bro so ba fede no na bro so I think sorry nyina ye ko tontofe. But the fact is I 2 Ghanaian girls no won't say Ghana for ye work room my doso but ye doso be as I say every week be our boxes will be like better. It was becoming more and more difficult.
Okay.
But as for the sponsorship, no, it was even worse because I found a couple of sponsors, but as I told you, I was doing it to network.
Okay.
For me, that was like the most important part, but also very hard because as a black girl, no say
on top of
not only on top of it, but almost and sponsor say on any logo, the business logo, beba paper so.
Okay.
No show I know like sometimes I feel like team say now ye the team and I the company no to a day na ye benye free. So it was a lot of selling, yes, Miss Exclusive, you say you're not selling the image, you're selling the OB company, the Miss Exclusive company to somebody else.
Okay.
It was a lot of talking and a lot of, I would say, a lot of chini.
A lot of what?
A lot of chini. It was, it was exploring, but outside my own comfort zone, you know. Into so we shy. I think the beginning of the whole in search of a sponsor will be one of the hardest things. And approaching a stranger, street is so street is so no obi Emma or flyer. Sometimes Udrin say obe wasting me time akasa until uchem. Edru baby no mo be even a flyer. Udrin say obe busa niska.
Okay.
And tofuna ni eto no ni ebuseska. At one point as a person it feels really weird, You feel like you're begging.
Now, along the line, one feels supposed to give you up.
Oh, I think I had moments where I even cried to my mom and I told her, do you put my bread? Yes. But one could dimu so much to say, Ujaya, the ending is near, and you've wasted more time in the pageant than stopping. So it motivated me, and having the whole group, I think the group kept us together, even though we were competing each other. Being in that group kind of kept us together because the time I often so uja, show before fry, or no, when you vim, you're asking yourself, I don't know, every week, she looks good and she looks healthy, and remember, like, menya to tom, how come? So you start asking yourself, maybe I can do the same without complaining, Maybe I don't know, but no, what that 8 hours, sometimes we would even sleep just 4 hours.
Okay.
I remember at one point, me and the other Ghanaian girl, we would come from somewhere, and then 5 hours later, we're standing at the station about to leave for somewhere else. So, in a way, it's I feel like we did motivate each other indirectly and sometimes even directly because we'd sleep at each other's houses. Sometimes we'd go to one of the contestants' house to sleep there if where we needed to be was closer to the location.
Okay.
So the last people standing did help each other a lot.
Okay. Okay. So you won it. You won the pageant, right? Uwini ye no. Yete se unya aka ye che o ka kese bi a ne Belgium ha. Now ene ye mfro ye fa ha ni ye hu ye fa ha ni ye hia o.
I'm even surprised.
Yeah.
No, I won a Fiat 500, so it wasn't, that big.
Sabi yete.
Well, it was a Fiat 500.
Okay.
So it's a pretty compactable car.
Yes.
It's cute, It was a
Okay.
very cute car, and it was my first car.
Okay.
Because I would tell my parents, I don't think so at my 19 I would be driving.
Okay.
So I did receive a Fiat 500 from the organization.
Okay.
That was part of the package deal, but a lot of the package deal I never received. But that was like one of the biggest things that I knew as a motivation. I wanted to win because I'm gonna get a car.
What about the money?
The money in one of the newspapers that I read, it was stated. I never received cash.
Wow.
So it was stated that I was to receive 75,000 euros.
Yes.
I don't think I even received 2,000.
Why nyesika biya?
The only money I miminya was from doing modeling jobs.
Okay.
And even with the modeling jobs, and this is where the negative part of the participating in a pageant comes in. The things that I was promised, gradually it was fading away.
Wow. How?
So when you're participating,
Because now when newspaper say
I never received any money.
Now when bisa almost say why?
I think we had one of the biggest quarrels in 2000 and I believe 16 or 17 because of this whole thing.
Okay.
Scano mensankada. And then mibusa omono omoka cheme say ama yanka say eye cash na ubenya yesi ubenya enyema worth of 75,000
Hey,
euros. So I asked them, can you send me the contract again? Because apparently we're reading two different contracts.
Okay.
Then I received the contract, which was not the real one. And then I asked for the real one. There was a whole case, like, it was, a never-ending story. At the end, I asked them again. They told me, "Nakana wuchino." Udrin send a boy saying.
Okay.
So I told them, well, if you had 500, I believe then that one was 25,000 euros.
Okay.
I said, if that's even 25,000 euros, where's the rest of the, 50,000? And the car, I asked them, is it supposed to be for me or is it the pageant's car? Oh yeah, the car is yours as a miss, but after a year, it's not. Then I said, then it's not a 75,000 worth of goodies for me.
Okay.
You're lending me 25 for the car.
Okay.
But one thing that I would say that I don't want to sound ungrateful is, they would pay for the petrol and stuff.
Okay,
but at the end, airco, like, I think they did that for like 2 months. I feel min ajugo mina na mitua udia for tickets never buy never happened. I had
and
at the end I had a big file, and me, I'm somebody, I like to keep everything. I think I inherited from my mother. She would document even the ticket from the grocery shop just to have proof. So I would document everything and I would give it to them.
Okay.
All of a sudden, oh, this date's missing. Oh, where yara. So then I was like, okay, that's their strategy. So everything I would give them, I would take pictures.
Okay.
Or I would send them pictures of the ticket instead of giving them the real thing. Next to it, I did receive some racist, comments, and I would say one of the hardest part, and it made me really strong. I believe I've always shown that I'm a pretty strong person, but every strong person does have a weak point.
Okay.
And when I won, that was one of the hardest part that I had to experience was I was to receive a bed worth of 10,000 euros.
A bed?
So, a bed.
Okay.
From one of the known bed shops in Belgium. It's somewhere around the coast.
Okay.
The owner of the shop once have won a Namijina Bonting. And we were waiting for our car, and he stood there and told my manager, "Inti nigga we na peso beda mempanoso."
Nigga, en nigga bij wonen.
Yeah, so he said it in Dutch. Verwacht jij deze neger op ons bed?
Are you serious?
So I was like, you know, when my manager told me, first of all, I was like, seriously? So every miss before me won and received this fancy bed, but because I'm black, I'm not worth sleeping on that bed. And that was the first time I experienced, and it was in the beginning of my title. So I was like, how am I supposed to hold on for a year?
Yeah.
During that year, I would receive black doesn't sell, they say zwart verkoopt niet.
Okay.
That's how they would say it. And every time my manager would tell me, but at one point I told him, you know, if they say anything like this, leave them. If they say black doesn't sell, then black doesn't sell here in Belgium, because in London it does. In England in general it does. In America it sells. So why is Belgium not a place for black to sell?
Okay.
So that was one of the hardest part for me to hear, just because I felt like after all this, you know, blood, sweat, and tears, and sleepless nights, I'm actually going to be, you know, I'm not going to have the same experience as the misses before me.
Okay.
I had one deal, it was from a water mark, I'm not going to say the name, but this sponsor was like, nah, I don't want her to do the shoot. Eventually, I did do the shoot, but I never received the gallons of waters that I was supposed to receive from this particular company. So I did eventually did the photo shoot, but the miss before me, they had big banners in front of their company. They would print big banners of her, and in restaurants they had like paper, you know, the thing you put the forks in. Like Pipana, the fork and knife. They had her face printed on that and everything.
But you never had the opportunity.
They told me black doesn't sell. Almost printing it too, so people will ask, are they a black girl? You know, so I didn't receive that. They did the shoot. I believe they shoot normally just because they didn't want any backlash. Oh yeah, how come the other misses are radio? They knew people would realize that. So that was also one thing.
Okay, yeah, should be you. Yet to ten, some be so say, one no manager, chairman shut down here, you be yet to say, and then on the say. But let me ask this: are you still under management?
No.
Oh, okay.
The manager I had, he was. It's a 419.
419.
He was one of the most greediest person that I've ever met. Wow. And I know show business has its, you know, every show, you know, every person that's being managed will always find something. But it depends how much you find out. And most of the time, if somebody's managing your life, your agenda, they feel like what I tell you is the truth, you know.
Okay.
So I would book a few gigs. They would pay. He would tell me, every gig you book is 50% for himself and 50% for me.
Okay.
At the end, I think I received like 10, maybe even less than 10%.
Okay.
But I didn't know. So he would tell me, for instance, oh, the gig you booked was 250.
Okay.
He would tell me, oh, it was just 100 euros. And then out of that 100 euros, he would take his 50%. So I never got the chance to, during my miss year, to find out that he was doing that.
Okay.
But the ending, when it was like almost the end of my miss year, I think and like the last 2-3 months where I realized, okay, he's really taking the mic, you know.
Okay.
He was doing you know, when you're in the management, you see how it's actually being done. And I wasn't agreeing to everything. So actually, I think 5 months into my miss year, we were already having little quarrels and arguments because he expected a miss that would say yes to everything.
Okay.
But I wasn't going to say yes if I knew the new contestants were doing things that I was like, I wasn't agreeing with. And then I realized he did the same thing to us, you know. He would say, oh yeah, you know, this particular girl, she sells very fast. So we would tell her if she can sell 20 boxes more, you know, he was arranging things according to, you know, who would sell better. Yeah. So I was like, first of all, if you're doing this to them, and I'll be to me, Miss out. So I started contacting the sponsors that I brought to the pageant. So Omono sponsor me as a finalist, and they stayed because I became the miss. They knew, you know, the benefit from it even more. And so I would ask them, that photo shoot we did last month, how much did you pay? Because one of the sponsors really became a good friend, and still is, because I still work for her. She said, oh yeah, we paid this amount. So I was like, oh, really? So then she realized, yeah, how come you're asking? And I told her, because I have a feeling I'm not receiving the money you're giving. And then she calculated everything. Or say, the photo shoots away from this season, I paid this. And then I realized, oh, did you know? And even I pay for the Kitwana and Minyano. Or say, expect or and also osa percent no decided to petrol into no how am I supposed to live, you know? And, you know, being a miss, even one of the newspapers, if you read, I told them being a miss in Umpa, I became broke. I was broke after my miss year. And people, it's so funny, I believe a lot of people that heard about the pageant, they thought, so, oh girl, we just this is the truth. I was done with the whole pageant with €0 on my account.
Zero power.
I had nothing.
Wow.
Nothing. All I had was, I would say, network. Network and maybe a few, you know, a few here and there contacts where I knew, okay, if I wanted to do something, I can live off that. But as for the pageant, nothing. What I have, he even took it because I had to use it at the end to be able to, you know, perform as a miss.
Do you still have contacts with him?
I think I've blocked him everywhere.
Wow. Why?
Because we had an argument. Our argument wasn't something small, you know. It came in a lot of newspapers because the year that I decided not to follow his instructions is because of the new girls, you know. I saw how they were exhausted, and some of them, they had the same background, coming from a background where you don't have much, but you're still trying and doing your best to be able to perform the same way as the girls that do have something. It became a nightmare. Some were dropping out of school. They were in high school. I remember when I won, it was my last year. So I could only imagine, why would you drop? You know, you've been through a lot to be able to finish and graduate, and then you stop at the end because of this pageant. So I would tell them, you know, it's not worth it. Because they were all looking up to me. Oh yeah, you have this and you can go here. You know, they'll see me at fancy gatherings. And that for them was like, yeah, maybe I want to do that. I was like, I'm at this fancy gathering, but believe me, I don't want to be here. You know, I haven't slept from the other gathering we've been or other event that we've been. And I'm standing here in a dress and heels, and my toes are literally hurting. Like I can't feel none of my toes, but I have to stand here because I've signed a contract. So Adiananka will say, yeah, something enjoyable, and it became a nightmare.
So sad.
One thing that I believe my manager never expected was for me to confront him on his deeds. You know, he even he used my name on one of some biggest contracts with Coca-Cola in Holland, and I received this huge bill that I was like, what's this? I ended up contacting the company. They said, oh yeah, the Miss Exclusive, I actually removed the Miss Exclusive company and put it on my name because he has a criminal record that he's been lying about years and years. And
but did you know that before?
We only heard, and every time we'd hear, we would confront him, and he'd be like, no, it's all lies. It's because the other girl, and it was always girls from the previous years. So then he would brainwash us and tell us, oh, it's because Oma we need to know more casa. And us being naive teenagers, we would believe it. And knowing said we wanted to win, no, it's like, okay, they're just being jealous. And you know, girls amongst each other, Upasa uyade no be because or kakeke because we're jealous. But they weren't jealous. They were literally trying to slap us awake. But us being naive and wanting to win, yeah, and see it. But once I was in the pageant, that's when I realized. And the fact that as soon as I realized, I started informing others, telling them, you know, saying it here. Into, you know, so ufin say, upesa uwenya. So like I won't stop you. So ufin say ubetimi yeah, but so unim say one din intimia jai. Into a lot of the girls that omu jai ombe catch them say I think say my bremi jai. Main country and say minim so omu jai. But as soon as omu jai no, me catch it like I was kind of betraying him but trying to help others. Into make now my catch a girl and say, oh, I see a file lawyer, but believe me, lawyer no onye she into no and we still seek some of the girls they're muko court. Okay. But he lost the case. But it's like I became this informant for the devil and the angels. You know, I felt at one point I felt bad because it's my manager, but he wasn't doing something good for me to support him. Okay. Beginning, I did my part, but then I was losing me, you know. I felt like the me auntie tell me say, you know, obi eji obi boni. I was in
Okay. Now, unya brand ambassador for company be
No, I'm not
at the
brand,
moment.
No.
Now, Uwini is also one be a brand ambassador for any company.
No, the only thing I continue doing that's linked to the pageant is photo shoots. Okay. But I didn't become a brand. I actually didn't do anything after my Miss Year. I was mentally and physically exhausted from the pageant world. Okay. Into, you know, like, I believe in the beginning, some young girls would ask me, yeah, and it's so weird, but I would advise them. Okay. But in a way, you know, one girl told me, I didn't know I didn't know. Okoye no, ohunye na me patchen, ojaye no bekache mo mejai, and then I was like, there's no point for me to even advocate and say koye because obi peso ya dia obeye, maname me yena me pese me and say me peso omuko ebe going through the same things that I went through. Okay. Because it was positive, but also had a lot of negative part. Okay. So Ufin said the positive is more worth the negative than, you know, do it. But I wouldn't advise anybody, even if you're schooling, don't even bother because it's going to make everything hard.
Okay. Wow. Now, you're to say, Ceciano, what kind of projects and away, who have a NGO be announced? What kind of projects after winning or then?
When I won, I went to an international pageant which was called Miss Earth. Okay. And the only thing we had, because I don't have a personal NGO, I didn't do anything on the side. Everything was in the name of the pageant. So we did do like NGOs with the pageant for Miss-related things like more eco-friendly stuff, sending clothes to Africa. I told him I'm not going to send clothes to a different, you know, orphanage that I don't know. Normally, no, my parents would always do that. And I prefer to say best be alcohol. So that we did. But after the pageant, I didn't continue doing my own private thing. Because as I said before, I was so done with the whole charade, you know, around it, and I didn't want anything to do with him. And afterwards, I felt like I'd caused a lot of damage in my own private life that I had to, you know, recuperate from. So instead, no, I just said nothing. No pageant, no this, no that. Personally, I would love to do something like that, but I feel like I'm not there yet to be able to do it in the extent that I would like to. You know, like me person me kwa started baby kitwa say be my way na my nwie. Say me ya na me like me person ye yeah. Okay. So that's why I decided not to.
Okay. Now say who go school and I say where you there?
Yes, now I'm in my last year occupational therapy. Okay.
And no we are there.
An occupational therapist is just somebody that helps people to revalidate. So if you've had accidents or kids. It depends on which field.
Okay.
You have four different places you can be, whether you want to work with the elderly or with kids or with people that are amputees that need to, learn how to walk again, or integrate it in the household and stuff. So it's basically, I say my mother. If you ask my mother, I'll be like, oh, you can exist, but it's not kinesist.
Oh, okay.
But it is something like a physiotherapy.
Okay. But that's so bad. But after going through your Instagram page, and man, say we are so obsessed with hair. Do you have a thing for hair?
Yeah. So I have my own company. It's called A2A. A2A is my middle name.
Okay.
So I decided to use that as my company name. I've always been obsessed with hair. My auntie has hair shops where I grew up in. So my Square, I would go there. Yeah. I actually started with Itirebo and Sana May started wigs, but now I do more wigs than anything else. So I've tried to combine my business not as a wig maker with my studies, and that's actually helped me to almost finish my studies. So yeah, being obsessed with wigs, and as an advice from me to the younger generation, I would advise you to the money you have saved from working as a student. Save it and start a business. Don't and pageant and you should start foundation and come obi enyeska from wo, and then we are catch us say we continue to me drew use to say scan and first say can me use scan and me what before me started pageant na I know saying kasamre no baby, if I wouldn't say baby I drew any baby my no saying can me come nim kakra saying baby I started free and the one advice I would give the younger generation, you should see kind of a baby, invest and fam koma obi and manento good chikola money krama. But ne year ejuma ne make it something out of it. Let me talk sa good chikola no ma wo karama. There's one thing I always used to tell my mom, scam me bre wuni na odi to good chiama karama. My manager.
Okay.
So that's what motivated me to, never fall for things like that.
Okay.
And don't get me wrong, the pageant did broaden my world, but at the same time, like a pajama,
don't share. Oh.
But I don't regret doing it.
Okay.
Kam manya ka ebia nyema bibrin kama it's weird, but still medana say because omuna omu world is like omumu experience a different pain than me. Omumu no whom you because we are ungrateful, but because I miss me continue pain and me come omunti ase into no Obia had their own experience, and I don't regret it.
Okay.
I made some good friends. I made some good contacts, and it's what it is, I guess.
It's a mess. You have a very interview, and member be share unia no member for Ghana for. Almost show na kasi aso wa sharing aso wa sharing be no almost show make kasi won hu nsa e wo screen yon so be sha manager was ring be show na so ring so now who obi wo brabo man na say are you in a relationship?
Yeah, I'm in a relationship.
Oh, okay. Yeah. With a Ghanaian?
No.
Hey.
Hey.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm not in a relationship with a Ghanaian. He's from Holland.
Oh, okay. Now, Miss Nimuna now the who na say.
No, actually.
Oh, okay.
During the Miss Pageant, during the Miss Pageant, I was in a relationship with a Ghanaian.
Okay.
But that ended years ago.
Okay.
But I'm in a relationship with somebody else.
Oh, okay.
Now, and we're happy. So.
Okay. And then, man, someone wants to be or see your relationship with is oh, Shana, so when you woman, no believe no lava lava there. Miss, thank you for honoring my invitation. But that's a bit brave, so bye.
Thank you very much for the invite. I enjoyed it very much.
And therefore, so share me, Miss and it's Nasi. On the first black girl a owini big pageant or Belgium, my friend Miss Exclusive. Make sure say on you subscribe to Nox TV Africa. Over subscribe. Now I like it. Now I share. Send them out for na or do for send them out ubi. Midiane Miss Rose. Macron.